Live at 6, this is 13 News Now.
A double shooting involving two crime scenes in Virginia Beach.
And it happened in broad daylight right in front of students. A group of middle school students were getting off the school bus on Blue Jay Drive this afternoon when it all went down.
13 News Now reporter Robert Boyd is on the scene. Robert, what is the latest?
Well, Regina and David, as you mentioned, a very traumatic experience for this group of middle school students earlier today. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, just got off the school bus. Then they see a group of men fighting, and then they hear gunfire rang out. Some of them said they actually feared for their lives. Now, the teens I spoke with said it was between 6 and 10 adult men in the front yard here on Blue Jay Drive fighting in a fist fight. And that's when they heard some gang lingo, and then they said they heard someone say, "Get the stick," which apparently is a slang term for gun, and that's when shots were fired and 2 men were hit by those shots. We're being told anywhere between 7 and 11 shots fired. Those 2 men who were hit actually left the scene, ended up about a mile and a half away on Poppy Crescent. That's where they were taken to the hospital with unknown injuries. Now, I interviewed a 13-year-old boy who said he was trying to protect his little sister. You're going to hear from him, but keep in mind, we were asked by his parents to protect his identity.
And I was just in shock because I saw someone get shot, and I don't know where they got shot or anything. It's just unexpected these times. Like, if you see someone fighting, don't even bother to get in it, because that almost put my sister to death. Like, my sister could have died, and that's not what I wanted.
Now, police are still investigating this incident regarding who fired the shots and why the shooting occurred to begin with. Right now, they have no suspects and they've made no arrests. Live in Virginia Beach, Robert Boyd, 13 News Now.
As people plan their Thanksgiving holiday, many are keeping an eye on the forecast.
Whether you're staying home or hitting the road, you'll notice a dip in the temperatures tomorrow. Jeff has the details on the forecast.
Yeah, and that temperature drop starts tonight. Readings already have peaked, as you typically would expect, once we get past sundown, but they're going to go down even with a little quicker drop than normal tonight. As you can see, clear skies on radar. That's the good news. And it's not just local, everywhere until you literally get to Maine or down toward the panhandle of Florida is clear and will stay clear during the overnight period. So whether you're traveling or not, great conditions. 54 currently. That's down from 55 last hour. So again, we're not dropping super quickly just yet, partly because of that northerly wind. The water temperature is still in the 50s, so that wind coming right off the water doesn't have time to cool down a few hundred feet later when it reaches the official thermometer there at the airport right on the banks of the bay. You can see other spots also pretty similar. Notice it gets a little chillier, as I said, back inland. That's often the case as well, almost always the case, really. So that's why it's going to already start off chilly and get even colder late tonight. A lot of people heading out, busiest travel day. If you're going to Orlando right now, it's 71 and cloudy. Seeing again some showers offshore. Think they should stay offshore. Atlanta 55, Philadelphia currently 56. They'll drop into the 30s this evening. New York City, rain ended a few hours ago. It's currently at 45. Chicago, no snow, no anything, just cold temperatures. In Dallas right now checking in at 54. So all of those major hubs not looking at any significant weather problems at this point. So we'll keep you updated on any travel conditions that might affect you a little bit later on. For now, that's the latest from the 13 News Weather Authority.
Jeff, thanks so much. We're also tracking the roads as drivers head into the area as well as out of town. Christina Sergeyko is monitoring the traffic network.
Yeah, David, a very busy day on the roads. Checking in first with Southside Hampton roads. You can see I-264 checking out just fine for you there all the way through Virginia Beach from the oceanfront as you approach the I-64 interchange. But then you get to the HRBT, and that's when the trouble begins. You can see a breakdown there reported by the traffic network map and a live look at I-64 at 4th U Street. This is not what you want to see right now. A dead stop there as you approach the westbound tube of the HRBT. Well, speaking of the peninsula right now, just a little bit more red building there on the James River Bridge. But other than that, for the most part, I-64 is checking out just fine for you on the peninsula. So bigger picture Hampton roads. One trouble spot that I'm watching right now that you'll need to know about is those westbound lanes of the HRBT from Norfolk if you're heading to the peninsula. David?
All right, thank you. Here's something that will make your ride easier. A lot of road work in our area is suspended. VDOT has lifted lane closures and paused many projects. The work won't resume until Monday at noon. It's the same for North Carolina drivers. NCDOT suspended work yesterday. That work will also resume on Monday. Download the 13 News Now app right now. We have a special Thanksgiving section for you. You can look at Black Friday deals, track the forecast, check traffic. That app is free for your smartphone.
Developing now, businesses are on the lookout for fake cash. Business owners in Virginia Beach say there has been an increase in counterfeit money showing up in their stores, and some of it is pretty hard to detect. 13 News Now reporter Stephen Graves went to find out how businesses are staying a step ahead of the crooks.
Handmade, everything from scratch.
The holiday season traffic is always welcome for stores like Lucky Express in Norfolk, but it's also a busy time of crime, specifically counterfeit bills.
They bring from 5, 20s, 50s, up to 100s on fake ones.
One after the other, a crime of opportunity that leaves this convenience store in the hole. But they're not alone. Take a look at this PSA, a worker at a store off Northampton Boulevard warning others to be on the lookout. But we found out now most stores have preventative measures. Those like Coastal Edge Clothing in Virginia Beach have these counterfeit machines.
We found that the counterfeit pens weren't as effective.
Owner D. Nachnani says it's only about $100. You slide the bill through and it gives you a green or red light.
With technology advancing, the bills that we received in the past look so real.
And these store owners say don't try any funny business, because as soon as they find that counterfeit bill, they're turning over any pictures or video of you to police. Virginia law actually says depending on the amount, passing counterfeit money could be a felony.
And from that point, they call the police, or they handle it in the best way they can.
You will get caught. Don't do it. Be safe.
In Norfolk, Stephen Graves, 13 News Now.
A desperate search continues tonight in the Pacific. The U.S. and Japanese navies are trying to find 3 missing crew members from an American C-2A Greyhound aircraft that went down today during exercises with the USS Ronald Reagan. Mike Gooding tells us, despite this mishap, the more than half-century-old C-2 has what's considered to be a good safety record.
When sailors are lost at sea, we go beyond what would be a reasonable amount of time searching, probably well beyond what most people would consider hope.
A massive search and rescue operation continues for 3 Navy personnel following the crash of a C-2A Greyhound Cod. The carrier onboard delivery turboprop airplane was about 500 miles southeast of the Japanese island of Okinawa when it went down. 8 crew members were recovered safely. They were transferred to the USS Ronald Reagan for medical evaluation and are in good condition. The $39.8 million plane belongs to Fleet Logistics Support Squadron VRC-30, the providers, the West Coast equivalent of VRC-40, the Rawhides assigned to Naval Station Norfolk. The Navy's top uniformed and civilian leaders have expressed their concerns. Secretary of the Navy Richard Spencer and Chief of Naval Operations Admiral John Richardson in statements said the missing sailors are in their thoughts and prayers. And President Trump tweeted prayers for all involved. There have been at least 8 major accidents involving the C-2 dating back to its inception in 1964, claiming the lives of at least 59 personnel prior to this mishap.
This basically is your mainstay. This is your stalwart. This is your go-to aircraft for this. So to have this kind of record is just phenomenal.
The Navy says the names of the crew and passengers are being withheld pending notification of next of kin. Mike Gooding, 13 News Now.
Sailor has pleaded guilty to making at least one threat against local bases and ships. Now he's waiting to learn how long he'll spend behind bars. Petty Officer 3rd Class Olante Arrington was charged with making threats earlier this year. Investigators used phone records to connect Arrington to about a half-dozen bomb threats aimed at Naval Station Norfolk and JEB Little Creek in August. None of the threats was credible. He pleaded guilty to one charge today. His sentencing is set for March.